Hello everyone and welcome back to Nagash, which is a channel dedicated to Sigmar, and in this video we are joined by Luke. How you doing today, mate?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me back on.
No worries at all. And what we're going to be talking about in this video is why play Nighthaunt. So I've got a little bit of Nighthaunt, but Luke is a Nighthaunt player. He's been playing for about a year now, and we thought that we would start with these guys because they were almost, I'd say, the first brand new death army in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah.
And essentially who they are spooky ghosts. So
Yes.
yeah, exactly. And so we're going to start by going over the lore, and essentially what we're going to do in this video is talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the Nighthaunt, and if you're thinking about playing them, is it an army for you, or are you better off going with something else, or just people who are generally interested. So
Cool.
fantastic. And to start with the lore, so essentially who the Nighthaunt are like I say, they're basically the ghosts of Age of Sigmar, but they're a little bit more than that. So these are essentially souls of the deceased, the people who have died, and when Nagash has brought them back, he's played a cruel justice upon all of them. So there will be things like let's say people who died by an executioner's hand and have spent their lives, most of the time in prison in chains, they will become chain rasps. If you've got people like Khan Race, which are like the Grim Reaper version, they would have been like something like an executioner in life. Or if you've got is it the Harridan Banshees? Are they?
Yeah, you've got the Dreadsive Harridans, which are the ones who spent their life as healers, and then basically, as they die, their arms turn into scythes, and they then spend their afterlife hunting people and causing harm. So basically, as you say, a cruel twist of fate from the Gash of swapping over what your previous life was or continuing your punishment.
Exactly, and it's great, really. Just that little twisted sort of chemistry there. And how the Nighthaunt first came to be is because of something called, in Age of Sigmar, called a necroquake, and a lot of people have talked about this, so I don't really want to talk it to death. But essentially, Nagash had a grand plan of wiping out. Was it all life? Was that his? I'm trying not to mix it up with the fantasy version of when he tried to wipe out the Tomb Kings. I think it's exactly the same, apart from this time the pyramid was upside down.
Yeah, basically. It does blur a little bit with sort of the old world lore of the Necroquake. But yeah, he basically was trying to bring, if not kill everything, but make sure that all souls, once they passed on, came to him, rather than, say, Slanesh trying to steal souls and stuff like that, which is a whole different little section of their backstory. But yeah, basically he was trying to install himself truly as the one true Lord God of Death, and ensure that all death belonged to him. I'd say his best example of the Necroquake. Well, the Necroquake itself was was when the Great Plan went wrong due to Skaven, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that's like Nagash's plan. Firstly, right, so he's not doing it all for himself. He wants to wipe out chaos. So how do you wipe out chaos? Kill everyone, delete free thought and will and everything like that. So that was his plan, to be the good guy. Unfortunately, though, chaos intervened. The Skaven infiltrated this upside down black pyramid, and what they did is when they infiltrated, this pyramid was this. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, this can sound incredibly confusing. But basically, an upside down pyramid in the realm of death. If this thing goes boom and it goes off correctly, everyone dies. Nagash wins, chaos is defeated. That's basically the end goal. And if I'm wrong on that, please let me know in the comments. So what you got is this upside down pyramid spinning around, waiting to do its thing. The Skaven, the Ratmen of Age of Sigmar, infiltrate it, sort of make the balance of this thing spinning go a little bit off angle. So essentially what this thing does is it sort of crashes and burns, blows up in a wrong way, but all this like necromantic energy inside of it still gets expelled across the mortal realms. And what essentially that does, it doesn't kill everyone, it sort of just like unbalances magic in the mortal realm. So then you've got things like malign sorcery and the spells. But what it also does is resurrected. Well, I say resurrect. That's not strictly true. Sort of make the souls of the slain across the mortal realms return to the mortal planes. So like all the ghosts and stuff will come from the grave sites. Does that sound about right?
Or anything like if you've got any sort of viewers or listeners who have been paying attention to the 40k, it's quite similar to what's been happening with sort of the Great Rift and the Psychic Awakening and everything. That kind of side of things where everything's gone wrong and it's awakening new things, new powers, all sorts in the mortal realms as it would be on this side of the law of it all. But yeah, it's very much like it awoke it. I'd say the best way to do it would be like it awoke all the spirits that were sort of resting in places. It brought about new purpose for the spirits that were, if you had a banshee that was in a certain grave site, it would now leave its sort of domain and start joining with, and that is where you get the Nighthaunt, sort of as its name, where it comes from is, the spirit hosts coming together and going for a single purpose to wreak havoc. And it wasn't just against sort of chaos or Meng, there is examples of the Nighthaunt going against death armies as well. They had sort of no real purpose to begin with. It was just attacking against everything.
Exactly. It was just a sort of a mindless terror and slaughterfest almost when they first reacted. They were very angry when they first came out, and they're still quite angry now, but not maybe with more direction. Because, and the reason why I'm sure you're about to say what links into that is because of Nagash realised this. It was like, right, this is quite an effective force, but number one, it's killing some of my own armies, and I think it could be led better, but I need someone to lead this army. So here he thought about getting to lead this army, and he came across Lady Olinda, which is essentially, if you know who Nighthaunt are, you know who she is. If you don't know who she is, she's the ghost in the wedding dress with the veil down and everything else, and she is the Mortarch of Grief. So Nagash, essentially, I think he didn't. Lady Olinda wasn't a Mortarch before the Nighthaunt, as far as I'm aware. He sort of like elevated her. Yeah, so he elevated her to the rank of Mortarch, and said, right, you can be the leader of the Nighthaunt and give them sort of more purpose and direction, to use it more as a tactical weapon compared to using the Nighthaunt as a sort of uncontrolled force. It would just have a bit more purpose to it.
I guess you could say he used her more as like a funnel, like just pointing, sort of a means to which to point the Nighthaunt hosts in a direction.
Yeah, definitely.
Rather than truly control them.
It's like if you're putting, like screen washer fluid into your car and you don't want to splash anywhere, you might get a funnel to sort of like channel it through. Sort of a little being with Olinda. And she's quite cool though, because she was I don't know loads about her backstory, but she was a bride to be, wasn't she?
Yeah, so I've actually got her lore up here.
Fantastic.
So, in life, she'd been Lady Olinda, a beauty famed throughout the Empire of Dolam, and one of the largest civilizations in the lands known since the Age of Chaos, as the Screaming Waste. She had schemed, plotted, and used charm to climb socially, leaving behind a trail of ruined suitors and deaths under mysterious circumstances. So great was her appeal that she wound her way upwards, winning the hearts of nobles and then eventually the Dolan prince himself. Her betrothal to the future king ended on the very night the prince and his father, the High King, disappeared. In their absence, she became the ruler. Vowing to mourn her missing prince and king, the young queen took to wearing a veil. People called her the Mourning Bride or the Unrequited Queen, and her public display of grief won over even the coldest of hearts. Yet it was all a lie. Her shows of remorse were false, her sorrows no more than a ruse. Hidden behind her veil and deceitful sobs, she could not help but smile at her own cleverness. It goes on for quite a bit longer, but basically, sort of,
gold
once she
digger.
died. Yeah, basically.
An ethereal gold digger.
I believe she died to a plague from Nurgle.
Bad way to go, bad way to go.
Yeah, and basically once Nagash claimed her soul, I'm trying to find what he did to her again. He basically stuck her in a constant, sort of made her constantly grieving for her husband-to-be and the king, who it never explicitly says it, but I imagine she was probably the one who got rid of them. So rather than actually sort of the fake grief it showed while she was alive, she was forced into actually grieving for them.
The irony. Oh, that's literally what this army is all about, is irony.
Yes, it is pure ironic afterlife. But what I find funniest is Nagash was sort of going through the underworld trying to find his new lieutenant, his new Mortarch, and he found her. She'd been there for many centuries, and he'd just completely forgotten she was there. And it's like, how many other unique and cruel fates has Nagash done in the underworld that he has no memory of, because he just does this constantly?
I'd
love to know what else is down there.
I imagine Nagash, and one of his great books on Nagash hasn't got any spells in it. It's literally just ideas he has just to annoy people for when they die. He goes, oh, there's this chap. He spent his whole life working for charity. Oh, God, I got a plan for him when he dies.
Almost like a twisted Nagash book of grudges.
Yeah, literally. He just like laughs to himself while he's writing it down, just like thinking that it's hilarious. Just like,
definitely.
Oh, that's why that's one of the reasons why I love death in the lore, because you've got things like this, which, like I said, the army's all about irony, and then you've got Flesh Eater Court's all about delusions. So it is quite humorous in death, but
yes.
And so that is Lady Olinda, and she was sent to sort of make structure and stuff to the army, and then do the other two named characters play much into the lore for the Nighthaunt?
Yeah, so you've got the only real other named. Oh no, we've got I always forget about
the Grim Reaper guy on the Undead
Yeah,
Pixis.
you've got Reikenor the Grimhailer, who I always forget about because I haven't got one yet.
He's an awesome model, one.
Yes, absolutely. That is one of the best factors of this army, is they are absolutely beautiful.
And
was what
yeah, and I was just
going new force that actually got new models. It was so different. It drew on a lot of the old themes of death. It drew some of the old units, like the Hex Race and
because I think Spirit Host and Hex Race still purposely fit into the army aesthetically. They don't look
perfectly.
off.
Yeah,
it's like what they did with Ard Boys and Iron Jaws. They all look right.
Yeah.
And to be honest, because a lot of the sort of kits are easy to build. Not all of them, but some of them are. It's not the most expensive army. Like if I was to look at Reikenor the Grimhailer, he's not a massive model, but I sort of forget that he's only £25.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, even Olinda, who's the lieutenant of Nagash, she's what, £27.50?
Yeah, that's
like that.
And you've got some models that I think are awesome. Not maybe the best in game, but I think are incredible. Are Dreadblade Harrows, and you get 2 for 15.
Yeah. And actually, a lot of people sort of ignore them. They can be very, very useful.
The teleportation shenanigans and all
that teleportation is so useful, particularly sort of for just drawing forces to a direction you want them. Yeah. And they can hold out for a good length of time as well. I was in a game a couple of weeks ago against Daughters of Cain, which are a problematic army to face. And I was trying to bring the rest of my army forward, so I used the Harrows to be sort of just a stopping line, forcing them into combat. I didn't mind that I knew I was going to lose them, but it gave me time to position everything I wanted and move everything forward, because they're not the fastest moving army.
No, they're not because they fly, don't they? Which is quite good.
Yeah, well, that's a very useful ability. I think the issue is your core infantry, so your chain rasp. They're moving at 6, and then you've got other things that are moving into 8 and 12, and they're just going so much faster. If you want to sort of bring everything forward together, you can very quickly overextend one line. But we'll get to that in strengths and weaknesses.
Definitely. So what attracted you to the army then?
Well, actually, it was so I was just coming back into Age of Sigmar. Because before I started Nighthaunt, I hadn't really done anything since 2009, 2010, back when I used to collect Bretonia in sort of the old world, Warhammer Fantasy. And I sort of had a look around and went, okay, I am not bringing Bretonia to Age of Sigmar because it's just not worth it. Because being a legacy army is just the rules do not tally up to anything else out there, really.
Yeah, it's basically Games Workshop going, it's technically still an army, so you can play it and not complain about it, but we're going to make sure that you don't win your games.
Oh, yeah, completely. So I was kind of looking at the best way to get back into it, and I did go with the start collecting boxes. And sort of, I looked at the Stormcast Eternals, and coming from Warhammer Fantasy, I saw them as a little bit too proto Space Marine for my liking.
No.
Yeah, that was my personal gripe with them. So I gave them off to someone else who was more interested and sat in the corner grumbling, painting my ghosts. I think I liked how both simple and complicated they could be to paint. If you wanted to knock out 40 spirit, chain rasps in an afternoon, you can, or you can paint 10 to fantastic detail. They both look equally good on the tabletop.
Definitely. Is this from the Soul Wars boxes that we're talking about?
Yeah, so yeah. I actually got all three start collecting boxes. I worked up from the 25 to 50 to the £95 sort of start collecting boxes, just as a good way to work my way into it all. Because I had someone who was interested in the Stormcast, it meant that we could get the £25 one, build it, paint it, play a game, go, okay, I think we understand this, let's expand on that. And it just, it was a good way to slowly bring ourselves into what Age of Sigmar was at that point in time and what it's become now. And because we were both classically fantasy players, we had no idea how the world changed, what was going on, how it played or anything. Because it is a lot simpler, but very different to how Warhammer Fantasy used to play. Certainly when we left, I found my old rule book the other day. It's as chunky as the new one, and there's like no lore, no pictures. It's all just rules on rules for very specific situations of, well, if you've turned that way and someone charges you in the side, you have to plus minus this. It's like, oh wow.
Is that the Warhammer Fantasy book?
Yeah, I forgot how complicated it used to be.
Yeah, I think I never really played Warhammer Fantasy, so I can't really say too much about it, but all I know is when I got back into Warhammer, and this was a few months after Age of Sigmar first started, and I went into the store, and I was disappointed to hear that the old world had died, because I really liked the lore in it. However, when I had a tester game of Age of Sigmar, I can definitely say that if that was fantasy that I was trying a demo game of, I would not have got back into Warhammer. I would have found it too confusing, too much focus on the rules. So Age of Sigmar is just really, in my opinion, just really welcoming to new players.
Yes, definitely.
So
as someone coming back into it all, I had been slightly dreading, thinking, oh my god, how have the rules changed? It's going to take me half a year to just learn a rule book again. But no, with this one, as I'm sure you found with yours, you can just pick it up in an afternoon very quickly. There's lots of little things that you learn slowly, but the actual core thing of the game is very quick and easy to pick up and learn.
Definitely, yeah. It's like I know some people who are getting into the game and they don't even, and they've sort of been doing it for a couple months. They don't even look at the General's Handbook or anything like that. They just play in the 12-page rule book or the 18-page, how many rules it is. And it's that's just fantastic, because that's all you really need. To be honest, in Age of Sigmar now, I feel like it's getting to the point where they can cut down a little bit on all the rules, maybe a little bit, but or just make things easy. They're sort of correcting themselves anyway, because when they did that sort of gaming book where it has all the realm rules, all the spell, everything you need in that book.
Yeah.
Whereas you having to buy 5 different books and go, okay, I just want the book with the spells in. Okay, then you have to buy the box with all the spells in it. I don't really want to spend £50 on that, or how much it costs. But apart from that little gripe, I would say that it's just so easy. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's easy to pick up and learn, hard to master.
Definitely, yeah. And I'd say that's very applicable, certainly, to Nighthaunt. They are, on the face of it, a very simple army. They haven't got too many complicated units. You point them in a direction, you hit stuff, it dies or you die. It's a very simple, in that regard, army. But then sort of as you play more and more, you work out, oh, well, this unit works well if it's backed up by this hero. You've got to make sure everything's within a certain range of stuff if you want it to work more effectively. And it is one of those, much like with the game itself. You can start off very simply, but build yourself into a far more complicated force down the line.
Definitely. And that's what that's great about. And the great thing about Nighthaunt, it has quite a lot of unit options, isn't it, compared to some other brand new armies and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think a good one to compare it to would be something like Flesh Eater Courts. Because you have so little unit choice. I mean, that is one of the nice things about Flesh Eater Courts is, okay, I've got ghouls, and then what else do I want? But it's going to be this, or that. And let's throw a hero in. But this does give you much more ability to flavour your army, make it more your own, more unique.
Yeah.
You can run a much more chain rasp heavy list, or you go really fast moving with Hex Race and Black Coaches,
or
anti-spells if you want to go down the Banshee route and stuff. So
definitely
you can really tailor it how you want your experience to be, and very much against what you're going to be fighting as well.
Yes, and like saying, especially courts where I usually take flares, but realistically the best thing to take is Terrorgeists. And
you just bring 3 or 4 Terrorgeists, sit them on the table and go, and what do you want to do?
Yeah, and if the opponent says, I don't really have any shooting, you go,
Definitely.
The thing with Nighthaunt, though, like you just said, that's the beauty of it, because they're... I mean, I don't play Nighthaunt, and I haven't really fought much Nighthaunt in tournaments apart from Grimghast Reapers in a Legions of Nagash list with Arcan at the general, at the headship, bringing them all back. So I haven't got too much experience with Nighthaunt myself, but what I would say is because of that, there's no best list to take, like the Flesh Eater Courts or Slaanesh or Bone Reapers. There's no you have to take this or you're doing it wrong. With Nighthaunt, like you say, you just got freedom, which just makes it so much nicer when you're just it means that you can build an army you actually with models you like without thinking that I'm doing it wrong by building the army this way. You sort of see where I'm coming from?
Definitely. And I'd also say once you've got the book, look at the War Scroll battalions, because they are the best way to build it. And because you can take as many of the different battalions as you want, so as long as it fits into your points, of course. You can really tailor your army to those battalions, and each battalion really meshes well within itself. There's battalions that are all about speed, all about rejuvenation, stuff like that. Each battalion is very well suited to its specific task and works well when combined with other battalions. It is. Certainly when I got started into it, or I've been using those as almost my shopping list, if you will. I do that with most things when it comes to Age of Sigmar, because it does seem like the best way to really get started is you just look at what they recommend for the battalions. If you don't run them later on, well, you've at least got a good basis of units for that work well together.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd say some armies and battle tomes have battalions that are worth taking, and then some other armies have some where you're just like, why would I even consider this? And it's annoying, because I agree with you in the terms of not right at the start of Age of Sigmar, but sort of at the halfway point, like a year or two ago maybe. I love battalions because if I had a battle tome army and there'd be a good battalion in it, I'd be like, what a lovely way to sort of structure how I want to build this army. It gives you a bit of guidelines, that sort of thing. But you still got the freedom to be able to choose, what sort of units you want, but this, sort of just recommends it here. And if you've got a battle tome that can do that's great. If you haven't, then it's a little bit annoying. But with the Nighthaunt, also you've got battalions that are in. Did you get the White Dwarf that had the battalions?
Yes, I do have that one.
Because you got because I've got that as well. You've got Pro Hex Race, isn't there? One was good for them.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'd still probably take the Death Riders battalion out of the battle tome over that one.
Is that the one that on a 9 to charge?
Yes.
Yes.
And you immediately fight, but you can still then fight in the fight phase. So you're charging in, you're hitting, and both of your rounds of attack count as having charged that turn. So you're just going to slam into everything. And you know, who doesn't want to take a black coach with that beautiful model?
Oh, you've absolutely. I mean, you wouldn't be saying that about 4 years ago, but
No, I have one, and yeah, it sits on a shelf
I,
and
I
looks very nice, but I do not use it.
I know I've got one as well, and the problem is, it's like I tried to take it to a couple of games. Never did. This wasn't a Nighthaunt army. This was back in the Grand Alliance of Death when that was the thing, and I tried to take it to a couple of games, and it just wouldn't do anything. And then I took it to a massive game I had at Warhammer World, like I had like something like 10,000 points on the table, something like that. And it was surrounded. Do you remember when it worked on for how many Death Wizards there were nearby?
Oh God!
Okay.
How many did you have nearby?
So this was you rolled a dice for every Death Wizard you had nearby, and usually you'd roll 1 or 2 dice in a game. So this time I rolled something along the lines of 12 dice because I had many wizards near this thing, and I think I literally, from memory, I got throughout the game, I rolled 0 to 2 6s, like maybe 1 or 2.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really bad. And you think like, well, 12 dice, you need to get 6s. You know, it's the average. It would be 2, but I mean, this went on for about like 3 turns, 2 turns. So like, it was horrendous. It didn't do anything. It couldn't even fly, so it was stuck behind something. I sort of guaranteed it flying turn 1 because it got the thing off. But no, it was.
Whereas now,
terrible.
it's a beast.
Oh yeah,
absolutely ridiculous.
And like I say, it's a gorgeous model, isn't it? That black coach, and like you were saying about the whole part, you know, being able to attack in the charge phase. Well, it means if you go against Sinesh, or to be honest, probably a third of all armies out there have got some way of attacking you first. It's the charge phase, so you'll be attacking them first, like 9 out of 10 times.
And you're attacking twice.
And yeah, exactly. You're attacking twice as well. And like you say, if you've got an ability that's like, oh, when these guys charge, they also get, I don't know, like +1 to hit or something like that.
Yeah.
They get it for both their things.
Yeah, it's just, and particularly if you've been leveling up your black coach as well, because that's just brutal. The longer that thing's on the table, the more powerful it gets.
It's incredible. And what a lovely centerpiece model for the army. What a lovely centerpiece model. Which is great. But so we sort of gone into sort of their strengths and weaknesses. But what would you outline as their strengths?
Okay, so I'd say, going off the bat of it, I'd say the biggest which goes across the whole army is going to be fly, because you are basically ignoring terrain for the entire army when moving, and of course when you're consolidating, if you do it properly, you can consolidate over a unit, get more of your models into combat. It's just a really useful ability, having fly on the whole army,
especially when you fly over enemy models as well.
Yeah, definitely. And of course you then also have Ethereal, which, ignoring positive and negative effects to your saving rolls, it is good. Some people argue that it means you can't put Mystic Shield on yourself.
No.
But then I just say, well, no, you can.
Yeah, you can, because Mystic, back in the day when Mystic Shield was +1 to your save, yeah, it's bad because then it's wasted on these guys. But it's re-rolling once. It's re-rolls once to save. Did you know that?
No.
All right.
I've been playing that wrong.
Oh yeah, so now it's re-roll save rolls a 1, so it does not count as a modifier. It is a re-roll. So you can now have a 4-up save re-rolling once.
Brilliant.
Unrendable.
Well, that's changed everything.
Oh, that's great. I think you're off now to play a game. So
yeah, definitely.
What? Yeah, exactly. So, but essentially, there are more examples than just this one. But the main example where you'll see this come up with it, where it would be a bad way for Ethereal, is that if your model's in terrain or a scenery piece, it's not going to get that +1 to save. That doesn't happen that much, and to be honest, that means that when you move a unit across the battlefield, you're not having to worry about making sure every single chain rasp fits into the Sylvaneth Wildwood base. It actually can just have a bit more freedom. And
which it wouldn't, because I run them in 40s, so you know that's never going to happen.
unless they're just like climbing the tree at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
No chance. But no, so Ethereal is just having non-render, because that also means like for example, if I take like Legions of Nagash myself and I go for like Morghast, and I go, do I give them the big spears or I give them the twin swords? I always go for big spears. And one of the main reasons for that is because they've got -2 rend. So I'm sort of paying extra points almost to give them better rend, opposed to having more attacks, that sort of thing. And that rend and that extra effort is just wasted.
Completely.
Or sometimes you'll see things like, do I give these guys a shield and a sword, or do I give them a great weapon? The great weapon gives them -1 rend, just talking sort of like standard infantry. And you go, I'm going to give them the great weapon. It gives them -1 rend, but they've got a bit of a worse save now, something like that. And then you fight against Nighthaunt, and you think, well, that's just a whole waste of opportunity.
Yeah. And adding to that is most of the army is at least, there's only, just looking through now, I think 1 or 2 armies that doesn't, 1 or 2 units that doesn't have rend. Almost everything has at least -1 rend, quite a few have -2 when they're doing their attacks. I mean, the Black Coach has -3 rend. And I think one of the biggest points that a lot of people ignore with the Chain Rasp is their 2 attacks apiece. And the Dread Warden gets an extra attack. So it's just, as a baseline infantry, everything attacking twice in combat, it should never be underestimated.
Exactly. And apologies about that, I've got a bit of a cold. And the other thing I was going to say, your to hit and to win characteristics aren't bad either, are they, in the army?
No.
At worst of 4?
Falls.
Oh no, 5, because you've got Spirit Hosts, thinking about it.
Spirit Hosts are 5.
But mortal wounds.
But and you get mortal wounds on a 6, and you're making 6 attacks per Spirit Host. And it is also one of those armies, I will say, that personally I find it is better to run less units, but run them at full. And some people, I've had this discussion with a couple of people, because quite a lot of people I know like to run their Chain Rasping units at 20s and have multiple units. But I do find if you run them in your units of 40 for that, you can really lock stuff down. And because you're dealing 2 attacks each, and they're on the small, 25mm bases, you can really mob something quite big and just chip away at it.
Yeah. And would you, the reason why you say you would run them at full, is that because of the sort of summoning mechanic to like sort of restore the models?
The summoning mechanic, because you're going to just keep bringing it back, so you don't have this, if we're taking Chain Rasps, it's summable, you're using 40 of them, you're getting a points reduction for running them at full cost as well. Their battle line and 2 attacks, you've got to just keep bringing this unit back if you have enough spellcasters around you. I would never go into a battle without at least 2 Guardians of Souls, because they're just so useful to try and bring everything back, basically. So much of the army is summonable, you can really use that to your advantage of, charging it in against something that may not be killed straight off by this unit, and it may kill quite a few, but I'm going to be bringing them straight back and you're going to be hit again.
Yeah. Agreed. And it's one of those, and talking about the sort of ways to bring them back, funny enough, would you say that it's better to ally in a Vampire Lord into his army because of the Deathly Invocation ability?
I personally don't, but that's because I've always been a fan of, if I'm running a Nighthaunt army, I want pure Nighthaunt, but I certainly understand why people do, and I can certainly see that it being very effective, and I understand why they do it. I haven't done it myself, so I can't really comment on it because I've not tried it or tested with it much yet. I will certainly be trying it at some point. I wish there were some better things that would work nicely. For example, the names escaped my head. The Necromancer Mortis Engine. I always wish that the Mortis Engine was part of the Nighthaunt army, because I feel it works slightly better in the Nighthaunt army than it does in the...
You have no idea how long I've been wanting that Mortis Engine to be part of Nighthaunt. Firstly, they stick
particularly seeing as it's part of our Start Collecting box.
Yeah,
and it's not even part of the army.
And the only way they get away with it because they go start collecting malignants. What does that even mean?
Yeah,
it's like
malignants isn't even an army you can field anymore.
It's a key. They've literally this. I don't know if this is true, but it just feels like they're so lazy, Games Workshop, just to change the name of that box. For some reason, they've added in the keyword malignant to every single Nighthaunt unit out there, just because they.
Yep.
Why don't they just change their start collecting box? It's been there for ages. And the thing is, what annoys me is, say if someone's brand new to the game, they don't really know much, and they're brand new, and they go, I like Nighthaunt, this is start collecting box, I'm going to buy it. Because it all looks like it is Nighthaunt, you know, because you've got lots of ethereal stuff. Right, one of their models, one of the units, the Mortis engine, they can't even use it in the army. Yes, you could make it a Covenant Throne and ally it in, but why on God would you want to do that?
Yeah,
and yeah, exactly. And some people argue, well, to be fair, with that Mortis engine, you can cut it up and you've got 3 more Banshees, some Calm Raves, you got loads out of it. If someone's brand new to the hobby, they're more than likely don't want to do that. They want to build the models how they come in a box, not convert them off on, you know, your first go. So it just feels a little bit like, you know, I can just imagine some people in a shop going like, this, I don't know, a new person comes in and goes, oh, I want to do Nighthaunt, and then like the salesperson goes like, I'll buy the start collecting box, and the person buys it, builds it, and goes, yeah, if you want to play like a legal army, that doesn't really work in the Nighthaunt, and then the new person will be like, but you're the one who sold me that box and the book, and they go, yeah, I know. Bit of a dick move, isn't it? Yeah, well,
well, I will say certainly, I can't speak for every store, but my local stores, they don't recommend that till you've been playing for a bit, or if you're just trying to get, you know, a load of Spirit hosts and some Hex Race, and if you're also building other death armies, that's when they'll recommend it. Certainly my store was, when I started out, they were like, get the, you know, the start collecting is in like, you know, the actual ones with the Stormcast and stuff. But if you're asked to Spirit host and Hex Race, you're better off just getting the boxes of them individually. You're not getting your money's worth out of it unless you want that as a central piece to look at or something.
Yes.
Like, I bought one because I wanted the Spirit host and Hex Race, obviously, and my girlfriend was looking for something to paint. I was like, "Here, would you like to paint this?"
This is big.
And used it as an excuse to buy the box. But yeah.
Yeah, bought it for the missus, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And then it's like the Mortal Realms, which is a subscription-based service for Age of Sigmar, where you get like models in issues and all that sort of thing. I've talked about it before. And in that, where it's a case of like, I remember when they did like a little article about it, and like the sort of picture overall of what you got for Nighthaunt. The picture of the army.
And it's still got the Mortis engine in.
Yeah, but the worst thing is at the start when it was like really blurred and pixelated, so you couldn't really see what it was at the back. But I was like, lovely, I get a black coach, fantastic. And then you realise it's a fucking Mortis engine.
Yep.
You just go,
why won't you give me a black coach?
It's just they basically go, what we're going to do is you don't have any wounds to put the salt in. So what we're going to do, we're going to get a knife, we're going to cut into your skin. We're going to chuck some salt into that fresh wound. It's like, it's obviously just because they're just sticking the start collecting box in the in the issues.
You know what it is? It's Nagash pulling his cruel twist of fate on the Nighthaunt arc.
The irony of here's a great time for you to get a black coach instead of a fucking Mortis engine. It's like, but you get like every model in the Nighthaunt army, I think, in that by the time you get to the end, part of the black coach.
Like issue 6, you're getting Fawns of the Briar Queen as well, which you could only get in Underworlds before.
Yeah.
Like you're finally getting all the cool stuff in a very reasonably priced subscription-based thing, and you're getting a goddamn Mortis engine.
Yeah, and I'm very much a case of like, if they go, the Mortis engine is sort of like half the price compared to a black coach. I'm like, that's fine. Remove something from the Stormcast half. I don't care. I want that black coach. Make up the money there. But you get a brand new Stormcast character. Well, I'm probably going to convert it to something Chaos anyway, so I don't really care. Just give me that goddamn black coach. Yes, so a little bit of a rant there.
Aside.
Yeah, rant aside. Oh, that fuck it. Or just give it the Nighthaunt keyword. It's not. Wouldn't even be the best thing to stick in your army, but
no.
Why wouldn't it have Nighthaunt? Half of it is bloody ethereal. It has 3 goddamn Banshees. Why not make it? What is it? A death mage? What the fuck is that? It's not even a wizard.
No.
I remember that when the Death Grand Alliance book came out, so maybe a bit before your time, but when I aged Sigmar sort of like a year into it, and there was Grand Alliance Death, and it was all split into different factions, and like Death Mages has 2 models, a Necromancer and a Mortis engine, and I'm like, oh right, well I suppose that's quite a big wizard. It's not even a wizard.
Nope.
This is crap. But anyway, so rant aside, is there anything else to Nighthaunt, or is it just the fact that the Mortis engine's not in there? Right, so we sort of talked about their strengths, didn't we? So if we were to talk about their weaknesses, apart from the Mortis engine not being in there, what would we say is their biggest
I'd
weakness?
say genuinely their biggest weakness is model side rather than rule side.
Is it the
They're
size of the
absolutely
bases?
beautiful. No, no, they're beautiful models and they're really well sculpted, but they are very flimsy. And transporting them can be a pain, and they do like to break quite easily. And that's my one biggest gripe I personally find. Even like using a proper foam case and stuff, chain rasp hands always seem to come off. And yeah, I'd say that's my biggest problem with the army. I have no problem with them rules wise; they work nicely. There's always going to be an army that you'd struggle against, but that's the nature of the game.
So,
You learn how to play against that and stuff. But
so two things.
mhm.
Firstly, because it's death, if a hand breaks off or an arm breaks off, you get away with it. Easy.
Oh yeah, totally.
Skeletons 101. Secondly, how would you transport them then?
I'd probably say if you want to do it properly, you've got time and a little bit of money, magnetize the bases and do a proper magnet based carrying case where you have the metal trays and you magnetize them you put sort of magnets on the bottom of the base and you can stack them on there. They won't move around once they're in there. It's the best way to transport them, but it's not going to be the cheapest and not easiest as well because you're not really going to get your best for your surface area stacking them in there. It's rather difficult, but yeah.
Just take great care.
Yes, definitely.
I would. I obviously don't have nearly as much experience as you with the models in this army, but I would. The only thing I would say is that they are okay. You said they are quite flimsy and very delicate and stuff, but for how flimsy and delicate they look, they're a little bit tougher than that. Would you say?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Like when there's when you see only one little bit of plastic. Yeah. And like I say, the models are awesome, and what I think is what they've done quite well is these models would really easily just have loads of empty space, on them, but they managed to fill it up in ways and all that sort of thing, which is cool.
Definitely.
So would you
the only model I'd say that still has real problems would be the Spirit hosts, but I feel that's the nature of how old the model is in comparison to the rest of the army.
Yep.
Those are the biggest prone to falling apart just because the glue touch points rub against each other just in movement. But again, I'm nitpicking really there. As an army on the tabletop, they're great fun. They have, they don't always have the strongest attacks. I mean, they have a good to hit, good to wound, but most of their damage tends to be one damage, which I'd say is probably their biggest weakness tabletop-wise.
Would you... Yeah, okay. And what would you say to the fact that, like, if I'm looking through them now, like, a lot of their infantry, if not all their infantry, only have one wound?
Yeah.
So is that a problem that you don't really have two wound infantry models, or is it actually a good thing because it's easier to bring them back?
I'd say that, yeah, definitely. They haven't got the huge number of wounds, but they're summonable. You should be bringing a good number of wizards to be able to bring stuff back. And with them being one wound, you can always guarantee you're at least going to bring one or two models back a turn to a unit. I'd say that it's actually probably a bonus rather than a negative having one wound. Yeah, definitely. I mean, what's the one? The only one I'm questioning, I can't remember. I'm trying to find it. Is the Bladegeist Revenants. No, even they're one wound. They're brutal. The Bladegeist Revenants. They're one of the units I'd probably say is an auto include.
Yes,
definitely.
See, when everyone's going on about the Grimgosh Reapers, I think that's so you can easily stick them in Legions and Nagash. The Bladegeist, I think, are where it's at because you can make them have such a good to hit characteristic.
Yeah, if you put the right stuff around them, if they're within 12 inches of Spirit Torment or Chain Ghast, you're re-rolling fail to hit wounds. They can retreat and charge, which is ridiculous. And if they make that characteristics, they're making 3 attacks on a charge. I think I can't remember which character it is. Is it Night Shrouds that gives them reroll on failed to wound? I know one of them you can. So you can basically make them reroll fail to hit and reroll fail to wounds. I can't remember which one it is.
Yeah, exactly. And what I would say about them as well is that, like you say, they can retreat and charge and get the extra attack.
Yeah.
So, like we mentioned earlier about when these guys charge, they got a chance to do a bonus round of attacks. So, if these guys are just in sort of like locked in combat already with the enemy, it's your turn. They've been in combat for a turn, something like that. Just retreat them out, charge them back in. You're going to get an extra attack, and you also might have a chance of getting to attack them twice, because when it comes to being able to attack in the charge phase, these guys, when you roll when you roll a 10 or more on the charge, isn't it? You don't actually have to be 10 or more inches away.
That's actually only with the Death Riders battalion, and you can't take them in a Death Rider battalion, so that wouldn't work on those.
No, but standardly in the army, if they get a 10.
If you get I think it is a 10, isn't it? I'll find it in here.
Yes. So what I'm saying is that with these guys, if they're already locked in combat for a turn, your next turn, retreat them out, charge them back in, you get the extra attack, and if you get a 10 or more to charge, they're attacking in the charge phase.
Yeah. And then you're going to attack again in your combat phase. And because you charge, you'll be attacking first, won't you? So, yeah, if you make an unmodified charge roll of 10 plus for a friendly Nighthaunt unit, it can fight immediately after you complete the charge. And this does not stop the unit from being picked to fight in combat phase. So, yeah. Yeah, no, they are very powerful. As far as unit goes, I'd say another unit that a lot of people not ignore but underestimate is probably the Mire-Morn Banshees, because they are wizards. Oh no, they're not wizards. Sorry, they're spell eaters, which is the really useful one. Is you can use them to sort of cancel endless spells, and they're summonable, so you can eat up an endless spell, and then summon it back. If they're going to cast another one, you can just keep using it as a way to stop wizards from successfully casting spells. You can unbind spells. It's just a really useful unit for being anti-wizards.
Yes, and what I'd say about these guys as well, going off the back of what you said, is when I sort of first did a review of them, I didn't really talk about massively of that, so how good they are at, like, getting rid of endless spells and all that sort of thing, because back for me then, when I played against other people, there wasn't really too many endless spells about. But these days, like, most games include 1 or 2 endless spells knocking around. So like you say, these guys, by destroying them, when they eat the endless spells, don't they also they add one to their...
Yeah, you add 1 to the attack characteristic with the unit's chill dagger in the next hero phase afterwards. So you're not only stopping a spell, but you're then adding... You're getting 2 attacks at 4 to hit, 3 to wound, -2 rend, and damage D3. So, yeah, it's certainly a very useful unit.
Yes, and
to be able to bring, and quite cheap as well to sort of points wise.
Yeah, definitely, and if this unit does, basically devour an endless spell, it will take D3 mortal wounds. What might seem like a heavy price to pay, but bear in mind that you can try and just regenerate the models to this unit.
Yeah. So I'd certainly say it's a unit if you're going up against someone like Zinch or certainly Slaanesh with the number of endless spells that people bring for those armies. It's very, very useful unit to be bringing in, because you can send them forward and deal with the spells and the endless spells that are going to cause serious problems to your army.
If you go against, the Skaven, and they have the Warp Lightning Vortex about, eat it. Boom.
Yep.
Oh no, I've taken D3 more wounds. That's a lot less more wounds than you're going to take normally. And that is a weakness to this army with the Warp Lightning Vortex. Basically really hurting things that fly, and that's basically what your whole army does. Yes. So it's a good way to just get rid of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, I can say this for pretty much all the models in this army. Great looking models as well.
Oh yeah, and the one that everyone forgets is you do actually have an option, unlike most Death armies, for a Forge World model, because we have the Mongol.
You have the Mongol indeed. Now, if you've got the battle tome for this army, you're quite new, and you think, well, the Mongol's not on here, it's fine. It's just Forge World does things separately. So yeah, the Mongol is in the army. And on that, what I like to say about the army as well is that it's quite rare that there's an army that I like every model in it.
Mm. Yeah, I can't think of a model in here that I don't like to look at and don't think looks good.
Yes, and like most other armies, like they really like for example, I really like Bone Reapers, but there's one or two models in the Bone Reaper range where I'm not a fan of at all.
Is
So,
it the Soul Mason? Because
no,
I'm not a fan of the Soul Mason, actually. I
so
don't like the way it sat on that walking
so my Soul
thing.
Mason, I need to take a picture and upload it. But so what I did is, and this also links to Nighthaunt. So one of the first models I ever bought for Age of Sigmar were Spirit Hosts, and not painted very well and all that sort of thing. And because you said they don't glue together very well, I actually pulled apart my old Spirit Host model and repurposed the Spirit Host to make the chair with the Soul Mason sits on float.
And that would look a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's my one. So I had to make changes. I'm mainly talking about the Harvester though, the thing with the corpse cart on its back, and then the penis bone guy, and the short stumpy legs.
It's a real shame because he's a fantastic unit to use.
Yeah, and then the one
But-
cool bit of the model, like the crocodile head's just got a sort of like mouth open, just sort of asking why has this happened to me? But then again, Nagash's cruel irony. I don't know. So maybe he was a really cool crocodile in life, and then I don't know. So what were we talking about? The Mongol. That was it.
Yeah.
What were our thoughts on the Mongol? Because like when I used to see the Mongol a lot was back in the day when it was very, very, very powerful, and now it's sort of like got a lot cheaper in points and isn't as powerful as it was.
No, it has certainly lost some of its. I can't remember what it lost because I started playing after the changes happened, so I was never around.
Let's get. I'll get it up on the Forge World now. It did look.
Yeah,
I've
got the printed sheet of it now. I think it was healing that it did because it healed itself, didn't it?
At
the end of the combat phase, if any enemy models are slain by wounds inflicted by this attack in the combat phase, you can heal up to D3 wounds allocated.
So is that the new one or the old one?
This is the new one. This is what I've got printed off.
Because I remember it used to be able to heal itself very easily.
I think it might have been. It was flat 3 wounds per round. It might now be D3.
That might be it. Attacks 8. That sounds like it's the same. Let's make the enemy subtract 1 from the enemy. It used to be back in the day subtract 1 from the enemy. I think if they had bravery over 10, but then if their bravery was 6 or less, it will subtract 2 from hit rolls.
Okay.
I think it must have been more powerful because I seem to remember there was a big change.
I certainly know that after I got mine, everyone was like, "Oh, it's good, but it's not as good as it used to be." I went, "Oh, great."
Oh, fantastic! Got a lovely trip to Warhammer World. But it's what? How do you use this model? Is it a flanking model? Is that what you sort of use it as?
Yeah,
because it's fast.
Definitely. I take it with my Black Coach and my Dread Harrows and my Hex Race. If I'm taking up a flank to try and push in quickly on a flank, he'll be in there. He'll usually be sandwiched behind a load of stuff, probably in front of the Black Coach. No, behind the Black Coach. So the Black Coach is going to hit in, create a huge gap, and then the Mongol can come in and chomp down on something a bit tougher.
Yeah, and it's also it just adds survivability to whatever's nearby, doesn't it? With the -1 to hit. I mean, I've got one of these, and it's the model itself is one of the few models in Age of Sigmar that actually absolutely terrifies me.
Oh yeah, whoever designed that thing, it was a thing of nightmares, definitely.
Yeah, that is like just like its elongated jaw, and like you just imagine like going through like I don't know, like a dark forest with like mist and all that sort of thing descending, and this thing just staring at you.
Yeah,
horrendous. And then there's actually like the artwork of it with where it's got like hair and all that. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah. It's the more you look at it, the worse it gets.
Yeah, that is horrible, but really cool. Something that definitely needs to be in the Witcher if it's already.
Oh, definitely. I'm looking forward to season 2.
Oh yeah, it's. I was hurt after Game of Thrones, and it filled a very nice space. So
Yes, definitely.
That's fine. Anyway, back to Age of Sigmar. So yeah, the
Yep.
Mongol's great. What I'd say is because I have massively reviewed Nighthaunt already. We're not going to go into all the war scrolls and stuff in this.
Yeah.
More sort of overall because there's no point repeating myself twice. If people want all that sort of stuff, I'll put a link to the playlist in the description of this video, so you can check that all out. There's like many hours worth to be watched there.
Yep, I've watched it all.
Oh, fantastic! Glad to hear. And I was gonna say, like, I did that like a year or two ago, but I think the information I give in that video is still pretty relevant because Nighthaunt haven't really changed too much. You've got the Legion of Grief, which maybe we should talk about. Is that something worth taking?
Legion of Grief is nice, but very much. So as I was saying at the beginning, the army very much works how you want it to work.
Yep.
So I'd have a look at its rules, see how it plays, see what models that's putting into your force. If that's stuff that interests you, then by all means, work towards that, work with that. But it is very much an army that is very customized to how you want it. And if that's how you want to run your Nighthaunt, then that is a brilliant way of, getting your points value out of it, getting additional rules for yourself. But if, you're wanting to take more, because Legion of Grief very much uses a lot of the, no, that's the Emerald one, isn't it? Oh, I'm getting confused between the one that came out in White Dwarf.
Legion of Grief is the one from the Forbidden Power book.
Yeah.
And it very much plays on, it's half Nighthaunt, half Legions of Nagash.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of the Emerald one out of the White Dwarf. I've not used the Legion of Grief myself. I know some people who have, and they've found it to be quite good because it means you can bring those necromancers to also help with your healing and stuff because they're all summonable. You can bring in more units and stuff.
You've got grave sites.
Yeah, and the grave sites is very useful. But I can't really comment on it that much. I've not used it personally.
It's sort of. I haven't used it personally, but from what I understand, it's like, like I say, it's almost like Legions of Nagash. But it still feels like if you want to be most competitive with Nighthaunt, you take some of their units, put them in Legions of Sacrament with Arcans, something like that, and it's a lot. You can bring lists for Grimghast Reapers and all that, but it does limit you in a lot of ways because there's only certain things you can take in Legions of Nagash with Nighthaunt models without allying them in.
Yes.
And at that point, you're not really playing a Nighthaunt army.
No.
So that's why I think you're better with Legion of Grief or just a Nighthaunt Allegiance, just to sort of stay more theme to that army, personally.
Yeah, I'd say your probably best bet if you're trying to ally stuff in is probably the Vampire Lord. I haven't done it myself, but I know plenty of people who have done it and find it to be very, very useful and powerful as an ally to bring into the force.
Definitely. So yeah. So that's sort of talking about the strengths, weaknesses, and table and how to run them. Last sort of thing just to talk about, and like I say, I won't really go into the rules, but just sort of have an overview of the units you've got. So you've got things like Chain Rasps, which are your standard infantry, aren't they, for your army?
Yeah, definitely. Most people when they're starting out will bring a good number of Chain Rasps because they're quick and easy to build. You can put a very basic paint job, but it looks good on them. They're a very effective unit as well. So long as you're running them in numbers, never take them in units of 10.
No. And something interesting to say about the Chain Rasps, they're the only death unit that has Bravery 6 until you get the leader that gives them Bravery 10.
Yeah.
If there's any Giants or Star Drakes or Mortek Crawlers about, you have to be careful. So you got those, and then we sort of talk about the Blade Geist Revenants, which like basically the ghosts with the swords, which are they're useful. They're being able to retreat and charge, especially like I said, to get like the bonus attack if you're in a prolonged combat, but also if you're towards the end of the game, where just being able to retreat and charge something else to get closer to another objective, it's huge as well.
Yeah.
So that's them. So they're pretty useful in that sense. And then moving on to their sort of counterpart, almost Grimghast Reapers, which a lot of people take. Why did you take these guys?
Grimghar's Reapers, you're basically your best bet for them. Really, is because they're fast, and they work well together as a large unit. They've got multiple attacks and they have range on their attack. I think it's 2 inches range to hit. Is invaluable.
Yeah, that's pretty big. And you can also take them in Legions and Nagash in case people want to do that, and I know a lot of people do. So they're cool as well. It's funny though because they're almost like bigger than a Khan Wraith, and they sort of like look more of an impressive model, but they're still the unit, and the Khan Wraith is still the hero, or just how it works out. So you got those, and then the next ones to look at. Shall we go to the Dreadscythe Harridans, which they're not. I'd say they're potentially joint favourite with terms of how models look in this army for me.
Interesting.
You know, are you a fan of them or not?
I like them as a unit.
But you don't like the models?
The models are good, but I wouldn't say they're probably my favourite.
The thing what I like about them, I just like the sort of like Silent Hill approach, with just like size for arms and stuff. That I just like them because they just look scary, in my opinion. But so why? Okay, on the tabletop anyway. Why did you use this unit?
Sorry, I cut out there.
Sorry, I was just going to say this unit. So on the tabletop, why did you use it? The Dreadscythe Harridans.
Dreadscythe Harridans. Their biggest. I think their biggest bonus really is they're good at supporting your Banshees when you're trying to eat up the spells. They're quite fast moving. They're very useful for sort of being protected, and they've got the good howl, like the howling shriek. Sorry, subtracting one from hit rolls. Their bloodlust, upping your damage characteristic to 2 instead of 1 when you're hitting for 6. I think my issue with them is they're very similar to your Grimghar's Reapers in quite a few regards, but they haven't got that bonus range. They're very pretty models, but
they've got a chance to do 2 damage though.
Yeah, they have got the chance to do 2 damage. Which is always useful because you are going to run them in at least 10. But I think it possibly just down to I don't use them as much, just because they're good for their points value, but there's other things I'd rather take more of than using those.
That's fair enough. And like I was going to say, like one of the reasons I like them is because when the Battletome first came out, there's the battalion in it, which is all about Banshees and making the enemy basically fail battle shock.
Yes.
Which I thought was great.
And they're very useful for that.
Yeah. And
they do have 3 attacks each, which, if you're coming in and encircling, that's going to be very powerful.
It is. And like that particular battalion about trying to make the enemy fail battle shock, I thought that was great, but to be honest, these days in Age of Sigmar, there's just so many ways for the enemy to ignore battle shock.
Yeah.
It's not really that viable. But so we got those. And then we've talked about the Mirmorn Banshees. We sort of said, why they're good for spell eating and all that sort of thing. They're quite. We say with these guys, they're like a tactical unit. Is that what we would say?
Yeah, I'd definitely say that.
Would you say that you would take them in big units, so units of 12, and use them as a combat role, or would you use them more tactically?
I'd definitely use them tactically. I'm not saying I wouldn't take them in a larger unit. I wouldn't take them as 4, because if you dispel an endless spell, say, and you do get unlucky with your dice roll and you're suddenly down to 1, that can be quite damaging to your unit. But I'm not sure I'd quite take them at the full 12. I'd probably take them in 8.
That's fair enough.
Yeah, I'd probably take a unit of 8 of them. That's 120 points of being able to end spells. Yeah. And even if you have a bad luck when you're suffering your mortal wounds when trying to cancel the spell, you've got enough left that the unit's still strong enough to survive another round with other spells coming at you or being shot at, and still be able to next turn start bringing some more models back to your unit.
Definitely. And something on other unit we haven't really talked about as well are the Glaive Rave Stalkers.
Yes.
What
They're probably one of my favourite models. I think they just look so. I think what it is it reminds me so much of the Terry Pratchett's sort of his disc world. It just reminds me of Squeak, the death of Wrath, the rat death. Sorry, it just got that look about him. I always thought they were undead Skaven, and in fact, I very nearly gave all of mine the Storm Vermin shields on their arms. I thought it just looked like undead Skaven so much.
I remember,
even though lore-wise they're meant to be sort of the horse riders molded with their horses.
Yeah,
I
was going to say I agree with you because, like before they actually officially gave what their lore was, when we just saw like the release of the models and there wasn't lore for them yet, everyone was thinking that they're Skaven, and I thought that'd be awesome. You know, especially how the Skaven sort of ruined Nagash's plans. This is his revenge for them. And I'm sort of looking at the models now, and there's this one with like a little. There's a bird, like undead bird. There's like a little crow with a skull, which is awesome. That's sort of just joining the party. And then you've got like the one with the drum, which someone did a meme saying, you know, like when you've got to fight for Nagash, but you've also got band practice at like 3:30 sort of thing going on. They just got. It's weird for models that are ghosts. They've got a lot of character, and they're sort of just talking about the whole Nighthaunt really going on.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a force that. Yeah, it's very characterful. You know, every unit is very distinct, which where ghosts it could an army of ghosts with different weapons attached.
Definitely, and but on the terms of rules, what are our thoughts for these guys? Would you take them?
I take them because I like to run them in a battalion. Again, they've got that 2-inch. They've got that 2-inch range. It's not the best battalion, and they're definitely not the strongest unit for the army. I think I take them also because I like the aesthetic of them. I have, it's 12 per unit, and 2 units in the battalion, isn't it? So yeah, no, I have 24 of these guys.
Yeah, 24.
Yeah, I have 2 full-size units. I don't always take that, but certainly had the ability to, and they'd certainly move. You know, they've only got a 6-inch move, but when you use them in those kind of numbers, it's quite daunting.
Yeah,
and with the 2-inch range, 2 attacks, re-rolling failed hits. It's if you attack them in a charge move, very, very good smash, kill, move on to the next target kind of unit.
And like you were saying, they're not bad, but they're not the best thing.
Yeah.
But they're not really expensive in points either, are they?
No, not at all. What are they? Grave Stalkers. Also, you can take them in 16, not 12. So I've got...
No, multiples of 4, aren't they?
Yeah, so I've got 32 of them, not
32, okay.
24. But yeah, no, it's 60 per 4, so... Yeah, no, they're not that expensive. They're certainly a good unit that... If you've got some points spare at the end, they're a good little sort of sandwich unit because they'll mesh nicely with the rest of the army. They're a good little... even if you want them just for rushing out and slowing stuff down, because they're going to get a good number of hits in. You've got to charge in. You could use them as almost a screening unit. So yeah, because they're cheaper than taking 10 chain rafts.
Yeah,
and you're going to probably get more out of 4 of those than you are 10 chain rafts.
Exactly, and they can just sit on an objective or something. Yeah, and if something comes at them, if the enemy chucks something heavy at them, they're not really going to be able to withstand it. But the enemy chucks something at them which is similar in proportions, these guys might be able to hold it off. Like it's not a bad thing. Okay, and then moving on to Hex Race, which are some of the older models. But I
Yeah,
quite like Hex Race because I know, like,
I do.
yeah. I was going to say that some people sort of bash them a little bit, but I think they're still good. The whole flying over and doing mortal wounds and everything else.
Yeah, like they're fantastic because you're doing wounds in your movement phase. Anything you've moved over, do a fight, roll a dice for each unit you go over on a 5+. It suffers one mortal wound. So just the ability to cause wounds in your movement phase is never harmful. No, I still like them and sort of as a model. It's nice that the classic units like the Spirit Host and the Hex Race still have a place in what was a brand new army 2 years ago. Yeah, I think they're a good. If you're wanting a more fast-paced, focused army, they're a good line because they're battle line in Nighthaunt, aren't they? Hex Race, yeah, you can take them as your battle line if you wanted, rather than going down the chain rasp route. If you wanted to focus purely on speed as an army, then you could certainly take Hex Race, Black Coaches, Reikenor, and stuff like that, and you could be a very fast-paced army to move around, secure objectives, and dish a lot of damage out.
And you got that Death Riders battalion as well, haven't you? That fits that.
Yeah, which is really useful because you're suddenly bringing that attacking in your charge phase down to a 9 rather than a 10.
So if you want a sort of all-mounted army, it just gives you more. Again, like we said, it just gives you more options.
Yeah.
So you got those, and they also do mortal wounds on 6s, don't they?
Yes.
To hit.
Yeah, with the reflect corn that's the rule for that, isn't it?
I think replay corns to rerolls to hit, isn't it? Which the con Rave has.
Yeah.
Is it Deathly Touch or something like
that? Frightful Touch.
Frightful Touch, that's the one.
Yeah, on a 6, it inflicts 1 mortal wound.
Cool, nice. And with that, we'll look at the other older unit, shall we say, that they've got, which are the Spirit Hosts.
I love them. I run them, and I really want them to be better than they are. I think that 5+ to hit really hurts them as a unit. Because it just you're getting 6 attacks, but you're having no rend. Any 6s is a mortal wound, but having a 5+ to hit, I do feel like it sometimes affects how well that unit does in combat. Because I've run that unit as its full strength at 12, smashed into some clan rats, and have done pitifully bad on the roll. And I understand, that's the basis of the game. Dice rolls can really mess up anything, but certainly having a 5+ to hit really can impact on them.
Yes, I would say for these guys, right, so I'd only send them against... If I'd use them in 2 ways. I'd use them as a sort of a tar pit, or I would use them to take down elite enemy units. Because they're only there to do the mortal wounds, they're not there to do anything else. Because, like you said, when you roll to hit with these guys, how I quite find... Well, when I've ever used them, quite honestly, what seems to have happened in the past is I don't get anything. But when they do actually hit and do stuff, they do mortal wounds, and that's it. Let's say you got, I don't know, let's say you just got a unit of 3 of these, 6 attacks each, 18 attacks. On average, what's that, like 3 mortal wounds? Let's say you're a bit more lucky than average, you get like 4 or 5 mortal wounds. And then you'll find that you might get 1 or 2 5s. And then you'll roll those to wound for 4, and you might get 1 normal save.
Yeah.
Because they've only got 1 chance to do a normal hit, haven't they? Because the mortal wounds on 6s aren't in addition, are they? They're instead.
No. They are. If you get the 6, the attack sequence ends. So yeah.
Yeah. So you've only got 1 window of doing a normal attack, a normal hit, which is a 5. Is there ways to give these guys pluses to hit?
I'm trying to remember. I think if you put them near the chain,
the guy with the locks.
Yeah.
Well, so he gives them rerolls to hit or something.
Yeah, rerolls to hit of a 1.
So that's useful. But the amount of attacks you're making.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, Spirit Torment does the same. And the Lord Executioner. No, that's bonuses for himself, not nearby things. because I'd certainly say that's probably the battalion that they're in, probably the worst one for the Nighthaunt, because you subtract ones to hit rolls for attacks targeting the Lord Executioner,
Oh
and you
yeah.
add one to the hit rolls, but it's only on the Lord Execution, not on the Spirit Hosts.
And Lord Executioner, it's almost like, who is he again? Like, he's just like the
Yeah,
small wound. He looks cool, but like,
yeah, but if you're taking 3 units of Spirit Hosts, you'd want it to be that they get the bonus from him rather than the other way
you
around.
don't really understand. That's almost how like most battalions work. It's a case of like, the troops are inspired by the leader, not the leader going, yeah, I've got loads of followers, I'm awesome, I get bonuses.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
A little bit, which is a shame. But the reason for that battalion, I feel, was because the spirits that are coming off the Lord Executioner with his axe and all that. It just sort of aesthetically looks right. So they sort of.
Oh yeah, completely.
That's like the only reason.
I understand why they're in a battalion together. I just wish the rule was flipped.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because if I was the enemy, all I would do is just go, right, okay, I'm just not going to kill your Executioner then. I don't really care about him.
I'll just take out the Spirit Host.
Yeah. Even when he's the only thing left, if I have time, I may try and kill him for points. And then you'll say to the opponent how many points he's worth, and then the opponent will go, okay, I'm okay. It's not worth the hassle.
There's other things to focus down.
Exactly. So the next unit we're going to look at is going to be... Shall we look at the Crawlock and the Crawlock Jailer? Crawlock Jailer? So it's an interesting one, isn't it? Yeah, because it's a... So the one with the lock and the chain?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because
his name is a Spirit Torment in the book, and then on the box it's the Crawlock Jailer.
Yeah, so this is what I'm looking on, is basically the Games Workshop website. And because you get him, and then you get the other unit with him, don't you? The ones who throw the chains.
Yeah, you got the chain gas.
Yeah, so you buy this box and you get 2 units.
Yeah, basically. Well, you get a character, a hero, and a unit.
Yeah. So we look at the chain gas first.
Yeah.
So these are
basically the only unit with a ranged attack.
Yep.
Because they have a 15-inch range.
And one of the few death units with a ranged attack of that.
Yeah. Yeah, because the Banshees don't have a scream. Do they?
No. It's just...
No, they don't.
The normal Banshee does. The Tomb Banshee does. But these guys have got actually like a normal attack, haven't they? Which if you pardon the pun, would you say the best way to describe these guys' attacks is swingy?
Yes.
Yes.
Completely.
Like D3 attacks. Could be great. Could be not so.
Yeah. Definitely. It's like, let's throw a chain in your direction and see what it hits.
Yeah.
And also the annoying thing is you can run them in 2 or 4. But you're only ever going to run them in 2, because if you buy another box to get the 4, then you've got another Spirit Torment, which you need to run with Chain Ghasts. So it's a little annoying on that front.
Yeah, it's... the only thing I can say is look to Facebook, eBay. Someone maybe bought a box of these guys.
I've personally actually had a couple of spare Grimcast Reapers, and I made some locks and stuff and converted those into Chain Ghasts because they look almost exactly the same.
Absolutely fine. Are they the same sort of size models?
Absolutely the same size. It's even the same cloak and the surrounding. You just have to put a different face in.
Easy.
And in fact, I've made my Grimcast Reapers without faces, so I just added faces to the new Chain Ghast.
All right.
So,
and the other thing with that is if you're someone who bought like the Soul Wars box and you have like an odd amount of Grimghast Reapers or something.
Yep, you can use them to make Chain Ghast.
That's great. I didn't think of that. And they have -2 Ren though on their.
Yeah, they when they hit, it's fantastic, but it's that D3 attack that makes them slightly unreliable.
What would you say?
Opposed to the Spirit Torment, which is a straight 3 attacks.
Yes, but these guys for anti-hordes though when they're in combat, because they get as many attacks for how many enemy models are within 2 inches of them. Is that right?
Yes.
That's quite good.
Which is amazing. I have taken that because I've run them at full with 4. So there's 4 of them plus the Spirit Torment. And I have smashed into clan rats, and it is very, very amusing. Because watching the clan rats, mob around you, think they're going to take you down, and go, right, how many is within 2 inches? Oh, look at that. 20-something models. Let's roll. 4 to hit, 3 to wound, -2 rend. Everything's going down. Oh, it's -1 rend, but yeah.
You almost just imagine with these guys, just like, I don't know, if someone's got a sword and it's attacking something, like cling, ching, that sort of like hitting on metal. With these guys, it's just a massive slab of lock just going straight into someone's face.
Yeah, just spinning to win.
Yeah, exactly. So that's them, and then we've got the what's he called, the Spirit Torment, who is quite. Oh, I was going to say very good synergy he adds to your army. Would you say vital synergy for the Spirit Torment?
I'd say he's very useful if you're running him with your Chain Rasp. You take him and you take your Guardian of Souls. Because if you take him with your Chain Rasp in the Condemned Battalion, you're re-rolling all failed to hit rolls made by your Chain Rasp Horde while they're within 15 inches. Which is when you've got good size amount of Chain Rasps, they're 2 attack each, suddenly you're re-rolling all failed to hits. You're going to get a lot out of them that way. And he's quite an interesting character anyway, just because of his rules. He's got special rules against Stormcast Eternals. So at the start of the Battle Shock phase, if 3 or more enemy models were slain that turn, pick a friendly Nighthaunt unit within 6 of this model and heal D3 wounds allocated to that unit. If 3 or more enemy Stormcast Eternal models were slain, turn that heal 3 wounds instead of D3. So, you're healing units by attacking with him. So it's just very useful to be able to just add to your healing, which you're going to need as this army, because stuff is going to die. You just got to micromanage how much you're bringing back at the right time.
Yes. And his attacks aren't too bad as well. He can do that damage.
Yeah.
So
2-inch range, 3 attacks, +4 to hit, +3 to wound, 2 rend, damage 3, D3. Sorry. It's very useful.
Yeah. And like you're saying, his Nagash's bidding, which allows him to reroll Heroes of Ones for friendly Nighthaunt units that are wholly within 12 inches of this chap.
Yeah.
If you go for the Chain Gas, it's like were you saying that it extends that ability range as well, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah. So if they are within 12 inches of the Spirit Torment, you can re-roll within 12 minutes of them. So basically, as long as you're within 12 inches, you can get anything within 24 inches of the Spirit Torment to re-roll ones on a hit roll. So if you spread them out correctly, you're going to it's going to be very useful.
Yeah, definitely. And especially we said there's quite a few units in this army that have like a high amount of attacks per model. It's quite good. So we got that, and then they've actually got. It surprised you just how many units they've got, which is cool. And like I said, we're just doing like a brief overall, and if you want more depth, you can check out those videos that'll be in the description. So the next one. So should we look at the what's he called? The one with the lantern. We were just talking about him.
Guardian of Souls.
Guardian of Souls. Should we have a look at him? So why would we take him?
He is, out of anything for the heroes, the most important one I feel that you must include in your army. Because he is your main character who will be basically healing your summonable or Nighthaunt units, which is almost anything that isn't a hero. He'll be healing up either D6 wounds or bringing back units that have a characteristic of 1. So he is just so useful. You can also then take him to have there's a relic, I believe, which I've got to find it because it changes up how much he can bring back. Because it's really, really useful relic for him to take. But yeah, no, he's definitely one of those, but you do not want him on your front line. He is definitely I sort of hold him back whilst you can. Infernal Lanterns. Yeah. So it's the Beacon of Nagash, and basically, when you're successfully doing the Spectral Law, which is the healing one, you can either heal D6 plus 3 wounds that have been allocated to the target unit, or if no wounds have been allocated, you can return a number of slain models that have a combined wound characteristic equal to or less than D6 plus 3. So you can start bringing back stuff that has more than one wound as well.
Yeah, like say you got your Hex Race, your Spirit Hosts.
They're on 2 or 3 wounds, and you can start bringing those back as well.
Yeah, and
so definitely one of the most useful heroes for the army.
And obviously, if you want to be as lucky as you can be, you could end up bringing like 9 Blade Geists or something like that.
Oh yeah,
it's great, really. He's an auto include in the army, yeah, we'd say.
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely. Even if I'm running, when I first started playing, running games at like 500 points, he was my general, my warlord. He was the first character I was always bringing along to everything because he's just so useful for that healing. And he's of course he's also always got Arcane Bolt and Mystic Shield as well to, if you need to attack. But really, you should be hiding him behind everything and using everything to protect him whilst you use him to heal up everything that's protecting him.
Yeah. And would you say that you would go with 1 or 2 of them?
I run 2.
2. Would you do more? Or not?
If I possibly consider it. It depends what if I'm going against. If I'm going up against something I know that's going to start just chomping through my units quickly, then I'd probably consider running more than 2. But on the whole, I tend to run 2 and sort of just keep them with the stuff that I know is going to get chomped up fastest, and what I know is going to be going in the hardest hitting area, so I can just top up the unit as it's going, basically.
Cool. And that's why we said about taking large unit sizes, so there's going to be something left over for you to be able to heal. There's nothing more gutting than, it's like Flesh Eater Court, it's nothing more gutting when you've got a massive unit that you've made it massive, so hopefully it'll be able to survive for your turn to be able to bring everything back, and the last model dies in that unit before you get to bring anything back, and you just think that's very annoying. Okay, so definitely. Got that, and then we'll go back to a couple of older ones now. So let's look at the Calm Wraith first, which I quite like the Calm Wraith because he's so cheap, and he's actually not bad.
No, he's not. He's, again, with that 2-inch range and 3 attacks, he's very useful when a lot of people like to envelop units these days and ignore the range on people's attacks, and you're going to start hitting out to a lot more things. You have more range on your attack. He's got 4 wounds, bravery 10, but he's got that. If you roll a 6, it changes to 2 mortal wounds rather than 2 damage. There's just a lot of very useful things for how cheap he is to run.
Yeah, and he gets to re-roll failed hit rolls against a unit of 5 more models.
Yeah.
Like, he's quite... he's not bad.
Yeah, he's just cheap. And he's got that classic look for death as well.
Yeah.
He's a very old school
He's
model.
a Grimgar... I was going to say Grimgar Street. He's a Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
What's not to like? I remember when I've ran him in my Legions of the Nagash army. It's a different army, but when I used to do it, I used to give him this artifact in Grand Host and Nagash that made enemy units within 6 inches of him -1 to cast and -1 to wound rolls.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to just stick him next to Nagash. And then so when people would attack Nagash, they'd be like, right, you're -1 to wound. You'd be like, well, what's making -1? And be like, oh, it's this guy here. And then your opponent has to make a decision going, I want to focus all my attacks against Nagash, but this little bastard is making that harder. So is it worth attacking him? So the enemy they would sprinkle attacks to this guy. Because this guy's got Ethereal, he would just be like, yeah, I've taken 1 damage this turn. He quite a nice little annoying, distracting model. And if he does die, he costs you, 60 points?
60, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's just 60.
Yeah, because This guy reminds me of the sort of model that would normally have 4 attacks, 1 damage. But 3 attacks, 2 damage with a -1 rend, re-rolling the hits against 5 more models, and the mortal wounds. Because that's the other great thing about him. Like the enemy would ignore this guy, and then he would attack, and he might get lucky and get 2 6s, and then suddenly that's just 4 mortal wounds.
Yeah,
that's like that, and it just feels like it's unexpected.
Completely.
So he's cool, and also, but random one. How does the summoning work in the army again for Nighthaunt in the terms of how do you teleport models from the underground onto the table? Is it via heroes?
It's via wizards, if I remember correctly.
Is it wizards? I was going to say, because if it's heroes, then it's another hero to be able to do that. But I can't remember if that was the General's Handbook abilities that a year or so before these guys came out.
I think so, because I don't think it's in the battle tome. I can't remember.
What have we got? So we got from the underworlds they come. So instead of setting up a Nighthaunt unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it's set up in the underworlds as a reserve unit. You can set up 1 unit in the underworlds for each unit you set up on the battlefield. At the end of your movement phase, you can set up any of these units more than 9 inches away from the enemy models. This unit counts as a move for that turn. Enemy units which are set up on the battlefield before the start of the 4th battle round are slain. Okay, so you don't need a hero to do that.
Yeah, no, not at all.
What I would say though is what it does mean is for like things like the Aura of the Dead ability, essentially, sorry, not Aura of Death, reading that wrong. Deathless Spirits, for you to be able to get your 6-up death save if you're wholly within 12 inches of a Nighthaunt hero, it just gives you another bubble for 60 points.
Oh yeah,
which
exactly.
is so he's a distraction, a cheap hero, and he's giving you the death save.
Yeah, and the other cheap hero is the Tomb Banshee.
Yep, who is 80 points
as far as heroes go.
Yeah, and is it 80 points for the Tomb Banshee?
Yes, I believe so. Or is it 60 again?
No, it's 80. It's a little bit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's probably because she's got that the scream, the ghostly howl.
Well, isn't about attack, depending on what you find.
At the start of your shooting phase, pick an enemy unit within 10 inches of this model, roll 2d6. If the roll is higher than the unit's bravery, it suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the difference between the bravery characteristic and the roll. So, against, low characteristic units, that is quite useful.
Yeah, it's great. What I find, let's say you're obviously against, like you're saying, against things like Skaven, goblins, all that sort of thing, great. If you're going against things like, other death armies, demons, Seraphon, not so great. But if you're going against, let's just say, the middle of the road, bravery 6, 7 sort of things, what I often found, it didn't do anything, or it would suddenly just do like 4 more wins or 5 more wins.
Oh yeah, it's a flip of the coin kind of ability, definitely.
But it can scare your opponent a bit, which, in all honesty, is worth it at that point.
Definitely.
But yeah, it's a good little tool to have, and like you say, shooting is not something you have an abundance of in death, so it never hurts really to have that. Also, its dagger has -2 rend,
and also if it's a 6, that the attacking fleet's D3 mortal wounds, which is nice. It'd be nice if it was flat 3, but I understand why it isn't, because the damage on the weapon anyway is D3, so they've just switched it over. So
definitely, and the thing what I love about the -2 rend though is I fought a Archaon with that model, and it didn't really matter about Archaon. This was back in the day when Archaon only had -1 rend for his sword, and it didn't really matter about his rend because it was fighting an ethereal character. But I just love it how he had the Slayer of Kings as -1 rend, and this one had a dagger that's sort of like somewhere in her hair, and it has -2 rend, and it's like, it's a very sharp dagger, from what I've heard. So you've got that right. The Knight of Shrouds. What are our thoughts? Moving on to something a bit newer. And the first Nighthaunt, new Nighthaunt model, that was a thing. So the one on foot,
wasn't it? Yeah, because it was the Night of Shrouds on Ethereal Steed was the first one that was sort of really announced and released, sort of shown, wasn't it?
Were you around when there was the one on foot?
No, I don't have one. I want to get one, but I don't have one.
What are our thoughts about that one then, firstly? Because that was like the first one.
Okay. He's not bad points wise. He's good sort of if you're wanting to run a very cheap army. Points wise, he is pretty useful. He's a good, a hero character. He can do his command abilities, adding one to hit for friendly Nighthaunt units. And Stolen Hours is also, if you do a wound, you can heal yourself. He's not bad. I just feel he's a little bland.
I mean,
he's got a good attack, but there's nothing really that makes him something different, if you know what I mean.
I tell you what, it's a shame that he's not in the battalion with the Spirit Host and he helps the Spirit Host in another way, because, like we're saying with the Spirit Host, with them hitting on 5s is a pain, he can make them hit on 4s.
Yeah.
So,
which would be really useful, and you maybe consider starting running thing. I know I need to start running my Spirit Host with other things rather than the Executioner, because I do need to start making them hit on 4s, making them hit on lowering that hit characteristic and getting more out of them. I don't know. To say that he's sort of really the lowest of what you should be taking as like your general, if you will. He just hasn't really got that much about him that makes him an interesting character.
No, he's
sort of just a generic lord, if you will.
Yeah, that's
and then the version of him on the horse is very much the same, but more movement and an extra wound. Although I do say I tend to get more hits and wounds out of the horse than I do the rider, but I feel that's just the fate of Bretonia hanging over my head.
It's not just Bretonia, that's for everyone. I don't know. With my Black Knights for my Legions and Nagash, they hit on a 4 and wound on a 5 off the top of my head. So that's worse than the rider. However, more of their attacks get through than the riders, which I don't even understand. But I would say the one on the is it called Ethereal Steed? Did you say?
Yeah, the Ethereal Steed.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not skeletal, is it? The Ethereal Steed does look a lot better than the one on foot as well.
Oh yeah, as a model, it looks so much better. I think that might also be part of my issue with the Night Shroud. He just looks like another one of the Blade Glyce Revenants. He looks like it should just be part of that unit.
Yeah,
like
he's got like a bat sort of wing spikes on his helmet, but apart from that,
he just looks like all the rest of the army.
Yeah, so you need a horse to differentiate yourself.
Exactly.
So this guy, he gives extra attacks for his command ability, doesn't he?
Yes. Yeah. On the horse, he adds 1 to the attack characteristic. Cool. So again, if you had him near your Spirit Hosts, that's 7 attacks and stuff. But I think on foot, his ability is probably going to be more useful, because adding 1 to hit for rolls rather than giving an additional attack. I think it depends what you're running them near, really. Because if you're running the Night Shrouds on horseback near, say, the Bladeguard's Revenants, you're doing 3 attack. Or I think it very much depends who you're using it near and what you're focusing your army towards, whether you're wanting to dish out more attacks or make sure more attacks hit. I think is your main difference, whether you're going to run which between those two you'd run. Cool. Also, how many points you've got spare.
Yeah, that's true. I just wish the Ethereal Steed was more exciting in combat, because it looks awesome.
Yes.
I was really hoping it's going to be like a nearly like a Dracoff or something, and I saw its rules, and I was like, oh no, it's very, very different from that sort of level. So staying with the sort of mounted heroes, the next ones to look at are the Dreadblade Harrows. We talked about them a little bit earlier, saying that they're really good for their teleport and shenanigans. Is that the main reason why you would take these guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think your teleporting is really useful, particularly if, say, you've got a unit in an area and you're using a hero for that 6-up shrug, and if your hero gets slain, you can teleport him in to suddenly bring that 6-inch shrug back. That's certainly very useful. So yeah, the rule is if you move this model more than 3 inches, if this model is more than 3 inches away from any models at the start of your movement phase, you can move it to anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches away from enemy models. So it's very useful to be, if you caught yourself in a tight pinch in an area, you can just disappear to somewhere else. Or if you need, a bit of extra support somewhere, you can move it. It's a useful hero for sort of map maneuverability, if you will.
And it's just one of those things that even if you just have this one of your back objectives, that just means that the enemy can never abandon one of their back objectives to move forward, because this guy will just teleport on it. You know, it's just like having a summoning mechanic where you can just go. It's just a constant thing your enemy's going to have to worry about at the back of the head. Don't get me wrong; they've probably got other bigger things to worry about. But if they forget, then this guy's just going to snatch something from them.
Yeah, and it's a very affordable model to buy because you get 2 in a box. And it's what?
2 for £15. I still can't if that was 2 for 25, I'd just see more normal. 2 for
but
because also like you were saying that with these they're also heroes as well. So that this isn't a unit you get 2 of. It's
you're getting 2 heroes for £15.
Yeah, and they are easy to build, but still that's not really much of a problem with these. Obviously you want to do conversions at years, but for standard wise it's not. And it's I'm surprised I haven't picked them up yet, because they're only £15. I still can't get over just how cheap that is, because if these guys were a unit, what are Dracof's £40 for 2?
Oh yeah.
And and I'd say okay, I don't know size wise, these guys are presumably smaller than Dracof's, probably quite a bit smaller, but are they not?
Trying to think, it's been a while since I've seen a Dracoff. In height, no, it's probably about the same size as a model. Width and just general mass, it's definitely smaller.
Well, I was going to say, but these guys, for me, they look just as cooler. And they are how much cheaper? I thought this was going to be they're when they first were released, I thought it'd be right, these are the Nighthaunt version of Gorger Hunters or something. They're just going to be the expensive cavalry. But I was really surprised.
They're 100 points a model.
Yeah, which isn't a lot of points. That's the other thing to say about Nighthaunt. Their heroes are quite cheap, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's a lot of low wound heroes.
But they don't have the highest saves. But you're not having to worry about that because you're ethereal. So it all balances out quite nicely.
Yeah, the army... The army doesn't really have loads of wounds in the terms of per model.
Yeah.
Each model, but apart from that, like you said, the Ethereal sort of cancels that out, and you also got the death save at the top. And what I also like about the Dread Scythe, Dread Blade Harrows is they got sort of fangs on their teeth, so they sort of kind of remind me of sort of spirits of vampires, but
yeah, they're lovely models. Definitely, I also recommend they're really nice models to just paint as well. Standalone, even if you're not doing it, £15, pick yourself up 2. Paint them. They've got lovely bases because they've got the proper sculpted bases as well. It's just really nice as a model, as far as models go.
Exactly, and that's the other thing to say. They can be allied into legions and Nagash. So if you've got that army and you thought about should I add them, it's a nice teleporting model to have. Yeah, it's cool. And what you said about the sculpted bases, a lot of the Nighthaunt models, specifically just the easy to build ones, do have these nice sculptured bases, which is I think is a nice touch as well.
Definitely, it really themes the whole army together nicely without it, being another army with mud underneath it or something.
Yes, and if you've got a certain way you want to base your army, it may sort of restrict you because they've already got base in here. But 9 out of 10 times, you can just fit it into whatever you want. If you want to make it overgrown grass over the bases, or you have snow or or mud or water effect, you could still add that in there. So cool. So that's just trying to think. That's that one. The next one we'll talk about is going to be the Executioner, which we've sort of mentioned.
Yeah.
Are you taking this guy to your games? Is he worth it?
I have him. I've taken him to games. He's not bad. He's another one of those. If I need a hero to fill in some space, I'll take him. He's got 3 attacks, 3 to hit, 3 to wound, -2 rend, 1 damage, which is very nice. And he's negating wounds on a 5+, which is really good. So he's good to sort of throw into combat. and if his rolls a 6, then his damage characteristic turns to 2. So he'll be then doing one attack. Each of his attacks, each 6, sorry, changes the damage characteristic to 2. So it'd be -2 rend, damage 2. So it's very useful. He's got 5 wounds. He's certainly not a bad hero, and he's pretty useful if you throw him into combat. But I wouldn't say he's the strongest, and he doesn't have amazing synergy with the rest of with other units. I think it's his biggest issue. He's good at hunting down other heroes in the enemy army. Because if he's fighting a hero within 3 inches of him, he subtracts 1 hit rolls. Hit rolls for attacks made by that hero in that combat phase. So that's certainly useful. He's hitting them harder, and it's harder for them to hit him. So I'd say he's sort of an anti-hero hero, if you will.
Yeah. And also the other thing is that, like, if like an enemy, a big scary enemy hero or something is about to hit you, if this guy's like about to hit your front line or something, and this guy's nearby, at least when he does hit your front line, this guy can pick him if he's within 3 inches, and like you say, make him -1 to hit. He can help out the army that way. I just feel like there's better heroes in this army to just add more synergy to your army. And I feel like this army, its damage potential isn't necessarily from the heroes. There's a couple of exceptions, but it's mainly just from your big units.
Yeah, definitely. You're running lots of ghosts and hitting multiple times. Is your big aim with this army, really.
Yeah.
And whatever gets hit down, you're getting knocked back up. I mean, it's not going to have quite the same revivability as, say, the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, which is just ridiculous.
Yep.
But you're respectable on your healing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And then sort of going into the name characters now, we'll look at. So shall we start with? We'll start with the Grim Hailer, shall we?
Okay. Yeah, Reikenor. So I don't have him, and I don't, much like you with the Dread Harrows, I don't know why I haven't got him yet.
Yeah,
I just haven't got round to picking him up.
It's a cheap model, £25. It's such a nice model.
All the major heroes are cheap for Games Workshop prices.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like in real life, that £25 a bit of plastic is absurd. Yeah. But like for Games Workshop, and also I think. Like with me, like when all these models are sort of advertised, sort of like previewed, and they're coming out like in a month's time, and I was all like, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy that, and then when they came out, I just didn't buy them. Not because I didn't like them, I just stick around to doing it. But because I've got the Mortal Realms subscription, eventually I will get all of this stuff, which is cool. So with this guy, why do you? I know you haven't got him, but why would you take him to your game?
I mean, for a start, it's another wizard, which is actually something this army slightly struggles with, is it doesn't have the largest pool of wizards that it can draw upon. So having a fast-moving, high-wound wizard is useful. His spell, Wrathstorm, which has a casting value of 7, pick an enemy unit within 12 inches, and that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. If any models in that unit are slain as a result of this spell, that unit automatically suffers an additional D3 mortal wounds. So you're just automatically just pumping, up to 6 mortal wounds into that. It doesn't, I believe they FAQ'd it, it doesn't keep going after that. So if you do another wound in that D3, it doesn't carry on. Because it didn't sort of state if you carry on or not. Other than that, he's doing more mortal wounds if you're rolling a 6, which is a nice theme with the whole army, that you're really getting something for your 6s. He's re-rolling fail to hit wounds. If the unit has more than 5 models, he works really nicely as a lord, as a hero. He's certainly an impressive central piece model. He's probably my favourite model for the army, actually. I think he's got the most presence, even more than Olinda. And he has the corpse candles, which, is so useful for sending out stopping cut spells and dealing mortal wounds if you stop the mortal wound. Sorry, you cause yourself mortal wounds to stop a spell, which is an interesting mechanic.
It's interesting, and the thing Sage's doing at the moment, like we say, magic is so important. So to be able to shut down enemy magic if you can, could be worth taking the damage.
Yeah, and also if you stop the spells, you then add one to your casting roll. Sorry, let me reread this, because if in your hero phase, before this model attempts to cast a spell, you can say it will snuff out a corpse candle. If you do so, pick either this model or an enemy model within 12 inches of this model. That model suffers 1 mortal wound. If the mortal wound was suffered by an enemy model, add 1 to the casting roll. If the mortal wound was suffered by yourself, add 3. So you can either aid or you can sort of deal damage to a character
to help your own
and give
casting,
yourself
isn't it?
+1. Yeah, it's helping your own casting. Sorry, I misread that.
That's right.
But it's always useful to help your own casting.
Yeah, and to be honest, on the same point where I was talking about before, instead of, apart from not shutting down your enemy magic, in a game where your magic is so important and there's so many ways for your enemy to try and stop you, it's just going to help you get your magic off. Right.
Yeah.
Which is good. And I agree with you about model-wise. It is my favourite model in the whole range. With the Dreadsize Harrows just before.
Yeah.
For me. It's just awesome. I just wish the Pegasus was better in combat. How was something like that? And you got 3 attacks and what is it? A 4 and a 3, no rend, 1 damage.
No, it's a 4 and a 4, no rend.
It's a 4 and a 4.
Yeah.
What the heck? It's awesome. How has that not got a better attack characteristic?
Yeah.
Why can't it be 2
it
damage?
really misses out on cool stuff for the mounts, really, in this army.
To be honest, it's with most armies, like even Varangard, like for the Slaves of Darkness and Everchosen. If it hasn't got the Stormcast keyword, cool mounts don't have good attacks. Like it's annoying. And when I mean cool mounts, I mean things like horses, not terror guys, because that is very powerful. So the next one is going to be Kurdos Valiant, the Craven King. If that's pronounced right.
I don't know anyone who actually takes him.
Really? Because I thought his way to steal command points was quite cool.
He is, like, it's really useful, and like he's really good in all sorts of things. But I don't know anyone who takes him.
Well, when I eventually
have a couple of friends who also play them, but yeah, they all take Olinda over him.
Well, when I eventually get my one in my Mortal Realm subscription, I will take him. Because I think he's, nothing in this army is ridiculously expensive in points. Yeah.
No, it's 220 points.
Yeah, 220 points. You've got a chance to steal your enemy command points on a 5-up, but a third of them you'll steal.
And not only
he's not bad in combat.
It's not even I gain a command point. It's you're literally taking away their command points.
Yeah, and there are times where I will build lists, and I will, like if I'm building Legion of Gas, I will always, if I can, keep 50 points in reserve when I'm building that list to get that extra command point, because I need it once per game just to bring something back from the dead.
Yeah.
So I'm relying on that, and then if this guy just goes, "Yeah, that's mine," I'm like, "Oh, that's my game plan." Sort of a little bit fucked up the bottom now.
And he's got 5 attacks himself, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, -2 rend, and damage D3.
And that's if he's not getting any.
6, yeah, if you roll a 6, his damage characteristic goes to D6.
I think that's really good, especially when you have things like, well, there's a guy who can make this guy re-roll 1s to hit. There's a guy who can give him +1, if you wanted to. And that's not just, like spending on those certain examples like the Knight of Shroud that gives them +1 to hit, and the chain, whatever he's called, the jailer. It's not like they can only pick one model and you're all stacking it on this guy, which is a bit of a waste. No, it's just an aura. Yeah. So I think that's great.
He's also got a spirit host with him that's actually hitting on 4s, not 5s.
Exactly. The Wraith Heralds, like, for some reason that's the best mount in the whole game. But for this army, it's that's why I'm surprised to hear that you say like you don't really know many people who take him and you can.
He's really, really nice model. He's really cool. I don't know. I think just people are drawn to Olinda.
Yeah, but I mean, like if you're attacking the enemy general, which let's face it, this is the apart from Lady Olinda, which we'll look at in a moment, this is the most damage dealing hero you've got in the army. And if you're attacking the enemy general, you get to reroll failed hit rolls.
Yeah.
More chances to get sixes.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, that's. I like this guy. Like, what a nice like underdog, or like dark horse.
Mm.
And I'm glad to hear that not many people take him because I would definitely look forward to taking him in my army. Because he's also a cool model as well. Like,
yes.
Like it's cool to have an army where you could take all 3 named characters and still have points left for the rest of the army as well.
Definitely.
So that's him. Right. So the next one we'll look at is going to be Lady Olinda. Like we said, the leader of this army. At first, I didn't really like her. I think that's because I was sort of shocked to see how small she was, and her sort of like handmaidens look quite big compared to her. But I do like her sort of veiled face. I think it's quite cool. It's a bit creepy. Overall, I like the aesthetic. It's grown on me. At first, I wasn't a fan, but now I do quite like it.
Yeah.
So, why do we take her to our games?
I mean, for a start, it's just the model on the table. Certainly, as you said, I really like it. I think it's got that air of grace and sort of daintiness to it, and then it hits you in the face like a truck. And yeah, I mean, again, it's another wizard, which is always useful in this army. She can deal mortal wounds left, right, and center. She has the Wailing of the Damned, which is basically the same as the Banshees Scream. She can summon return slain models to summonable units. She has lifting the veils a little bit like Nagash's gaze, actually. So at the start of your hero phase, pick an enemy unit within 12 inches that's visible to her on roll a dice. On a 1, nothing happens. On a 2+, that unit suffers a number of mortal wounds equal to the roll. In addition, if an enemy unit models are slain by this, immediately heal D3 wounds that have been allocated to this model. So she's just going to pump out mortal wounds to everything around her and heal herself and everything with it. It's just a really nice centerpiece that isn't just a pretty model. It's also going to be both useful to the army as sort of a functional piece, but then also pump out tons of damage to anything that comes near her.
Yeah. I can vouch for her damage potential. I mean, when I had Nagash, I got attacked by one of these. I think Nagash took like 9 damage in one turn, which meant that my opponent was quite lucky with his rolls and everything else. But
yeah,
something to be able to do that is pretty solid. For something like you said that looks small and elegant and everything else, she has got a weapon that, well, herself can hit you like a truck.
Yeah.
And there was, do you know what Warhammer Champions are? The card game.
Yeah.
Have you seen the trailer for it where it had a Lady Olinda in it?
No, I've not actually.
Have you not? Oh, okay, that's awesome. If you can find that on YouTube, that's cool. It's basically a very short trailer, like some Stormcast in a cemetery, getting attacked by some Dreadscythe Harridans, and then they die apart from one of them, who gets them sort of like attacked by Lady Olinda. She looks very, very ghostly and everything. It was quite cool. But yeah, so a nice name character she doesn't really cost you too much anyway, does she?
No.
She's the most expensive, is she?
She's now down because after the 2019 FAQ, Lady Olinda's now down to 200 points.
200.
And Kurdos is now down to 180 points.
180 points.
Yeah. Okay. I think more people are going to be taking him now at that price.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, 180 points. That's really good.
Because the Black Coach is also down to 220.
Is it? Right. Well,
yeah.
We'll move on to the Black Coach now then. So far, we're looking at good things for the named characters. Agreed? They're all worth taking in different ways.
Yeah.
Okay, so the black coach. So the centerpiece. Okay, so if you like Nighthaunt, chances are you want to put this thing in your army. Is it worth putting in your army?
Yes.
Yes.
Hands
Good.
down. It looks beautiful. It's going to be a pain to move, and I recommend if you get the model, build it in sub-assembly, paint it in sub-assembly, and keep it in sub-assembly. Because you can put it down on the table and put everything together, and it will stay together, and then take it apart to put it in the case, because it is quite a big model for transporting places, and it does come apart quite easily for transporting. So that's a little side note on the black coach.
Cool. Sub-assemblies. Would you magnetize it?
I'd magnetize it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the best way to do it, particularly the horses in the front.
Because those horses at the front overhang a lot, don't they?
Yeah, they do. So if you can take them off, then transporting it becomes a lot easier. And then, really, it's all about the leveling up of the black coach. So it's called Evocation of Death. At the start of each battle round, roll 3 dice for each black coach on the battlefield. For a 4+, the black coach gains a level of power. The levels of power are cumulative and last for the rest of the battle, and they just basically buff it up every level. And there's 5 levels you can go up to. Do you want me to go through all 5 levels that it does, or have you done that in previous?
I've done that in previous videos, so we won't do that. But
Yeah.
essentially, does it go along the lines of each level does different things. The closer you get towards the 5th one, the better. Would you say?
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
Particularly in 4th one, when you can start retreating and charging in the same turn. Just like this huge things just lumbering into you, turning around, going away, and coming back in.
yeah, especially how you want to have that. This is towards the last half of the game where, like we say, movement does become really important to get those objectives. This guy has more chance of doing that, and if he's still alive at that point, that is. But
Yeah.
he's and I say he 220 points. Did you say?
Yeah, he's gone down to 220 points now.
Yeah,
so.
it's not a lot. And also
No.
the main thing about this guy is that the spectral claws attack hits on a 4.
Yeah, so it's brilliant that spirit hosts, when they're part of another model, are a 4+ to hit. But if they're on their own, they're a 5+.
It's almost like when they're in the spotlight, they get nervous.
Yeah.
But when they're with someone else, like sort of like picking up their confidence, they can do a little bit more. When they're like, the backup, if they're not the main thing on show, they do better. They come out of their shell a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah, which I think if we can get all, terrifying, nightmarish ghost creatures to come out of their shells a bit more and be a bit more confident, it's only a good thing.
Indeed.
So that is him, and I believe the only thing we're going to look at now for the Nighthaunt is going to be the Thorns of the Briar Queen.
Yes.
Are they?
I don't have any of the stuff with me for that, but yeah.
I'll just say, with them, I imagine they are your standard Warhammer Worlds Underworld, like warband in Age of Sigmar. Not really worth taking, but look very pretty.
The band isn't, because it's just another bunch of chain rasp. However, she is probably one of the few exceptions where she is actually very well worth taking, from what I've heard, because she's another wizard. She has a screen, and I can't remember what her spell is, but it's very, very useful.
So I got it up here. So Howling Vortex is cast of AS7. They successfully cast, pick a point on the battlefield within 8 inches of the caster that is visible to them, and roll 2d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of that point. If the roll is greater than the value of that unit's move characteristic, or that roll is a double, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound, and its move characteristic is halved until the caster's next hero phase. Okay, so that is good, to half the movement.
Yeah, you can start halving the movement, and particularly if you've got things with sort of slightly larger that have quite low movement characteristics, you can really sort of slow down units and stuff. And because it's everything in an 80, is it a 6-inch bubble of that in 18 inches?
Yeah, so you've got a threat range of sort of 24 inches.
Yeah. So it's one of those cases where her little band with her's not amazing. It's just another load of chain rasp. But her herself being another wizard for the army is very useful. It's another sort of, another dispel that you can sort of offer up and stuff. So, yeah.
The only thing to say there is, if you take her, you have to take a little band with her.
Yes. Yeah, you do have to.
For 150, going from Games Workshop website.
Yeah.
150 points, but I think that's from 2018, so I don't know if it's changed.
Yeah, I think that has changed, but I don't think it's changed that much. And you're getting, probably realistically, you're getting another 80 point hero with a body card, basically. I think they can take hits for her. I think they can take damage for her.
What we got? So you've got Ethereal, and then the only other ability is Grasping Chain. So you can reroll wound rolls of ones for attacks made by this unit that target an enemy unit that is within 3 of 2 or more models from this unit. I'm just going to check to see if she's got her own. No, so they can't do that. But
okay, they can't take wounds. Okay.
They haven't got the. Do you need the summonable keyword to be able to bring back models to these guys?
Yes, you do. So they're not summonable.
They're not summonable.
So you can't heal them either.
No, it's
yeah.
I think it's the typical Warhammer Underworlds warband where it's not dreadful because there's like one good thing about it, which is the half in the enemy's movement, but there is always a tax to pay, which is you have to pay for everything else. Not just her. But so and then that is that's the last thing. The only other thing as well is the endless spells. What are our thoughts about those?
I'm one of those who has not really gotten into endless spells yet, and I know I need to sort of start looking at them because they are being used by so many people now. Yeah, I have not gotten into using endless spells yet.
Yeah, I've reviewed them before, so you want more in depth, check that out. But I would say they're not the best. They're not terrible, but I'd say you want to invest your points and other things into the army. As a quick summary is what I'd say about them.
Yeah.
Some of them look awesome. Like that scythe looks amazing.
They look fantastic for the army. But yeah, I know I need to start, have a proper look into endless spells and really get into working out what's going to work best for the army.
Yeah, it is worth doing. I put off endless spells for a long time, and then when you actually buy the bullet and actually learn about them, they are quite good.
I think the thing that always put me off is the fact that it's not just controllable by you. I think the fact that if you've got something near you that can heal or do damage in their turn, and they're going to control it to deal damage, and they get a better roll than you did to heal, it's going to be like.
Because it's a horrible feeling where you go like, oh, I've won the priority, I want to take it. Obviously, well, that's good, but like when you've won the priority and you feel like you need to take it, and you think, oh, that massive scythe I summoned, now the enemy's going to use it against me, and I paid points for it. Yeah, I do know what you mean. I'd say the only ones I really take, to be fair, are the ones the enemy can't use against me. Either they're like something I summon and it's static, and that only really helps out my army, or ones that are specifically only myself can move them. They're the only ones I'll take in the spells. Well, that's all the sort of like units and stuff looked at, and our sort of thoughts about them. So if people are still listening to this, they're probably quite interested to start. So what would you say is the best way to start Nighthaunt? Because we've got a few options. We've got you've got the start collecting box. We've already talked about that, so we won't really talk about that one much further. You've got sort of Tempest of Souls, like the smaller version of Soul Wars, or you've got Storm Strike, which is the smaller version of that. You've got Soul Wars. You've got the Battle Force that's still kicking around.
Yeah.
But
so
then
I'd say it depends where people are coming from at this point. If you have not done any Warhammer Fantasy, Age of Sigmar at all, start with something like Temple of Souls or the other small one. Get a friend to do it with you who's interested in Stormcast. And start yourself there, because that is going to be the best way to get yourself in, get interested. If you're already into Age of Sigmar and you know someone who wants to start a Stormcast Eternal Army, get Soul Wars. You're going to get 20 Chain Rasp, which is a good start. You're going to get excellent sort of other stuff around it, and it's the only way that you can get the Ethereal, The Knight of Shroud's on Ethereal Steed. He's still not available outside of that box.
For some reason, because that's been bloody ages. That is.
It'll be till they bring out a new Start Collecting box before we'll get him out. I'm betting. But yeah,
and he'll be in that Start Collecting box, and you have to buy that box to be able to get him.
Yeah, that's what I reckon. That's going to be my bet.
Probably. To be honest, when these things do become separate, you're still probably worth buying the big box set anyway because it's better value.
The amount of savings you're making, and even if you don't have someone who's after Stormcast, there's always people out there after Stormcast, and you could probably sell on that you'll make it worth your money. And if you can get the Battle Force, the big army box set that they did at Christmas.
Nighthaunt Court of the Craving King, so you get Colonels.
Yeah, if you get Colonels. With his points reduction that we've now seen, I'd definitely say if you can get hold of that and you're already in the world of Age of Sigmar, you know what you're doing, you just wanted to build up, then that is definitely going to be worth your money. And of course, the first thing you should do is go out and get your battle term and work out what on earth you want to build your army towards.
Yes, get the battle term
always
first.
With these things.
And in that, exactly. And in that Battle Force box, you do get a large variety of units because you get basically almost one of everything. So you get 10 Chainwrath Ward, 10 Dreadside Harridans, 5 Hex Race, 10 Blade Guys, 10 Grimghast Reapers. So it's
the other way to go about it would be doing what you and I are doing and going with the Mortal Realm subscription.
Yep, the only thing I'd say about that is a case of if you're not in a massive rush to build up your army and you're happy to do it in slow time, that is, without mistake, the best option to go for.
Yeah.
And also you get Stormcast army, so if you want to do a hearth with someone you know, that's great, or you can sell the Stormcast on, or you can use them as basing material. It gives you loads of options. The only thing I will say is, does it take about a year for that to...
I think it's a year and a half, actually. It might be 18 months to complete it.
So I reckon within a year you will have near enough a 2,000 point playable army. Because I think you get over 2,000 points, I remember calculating it.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is you'll want to pick up some more chain rafts.
Yes.
I think you would get up to 20 in the whole set.
Okay. The only thing I would say with chain rafts is, right, no one who's listened to this video, do not buy 10 chain rafts for £25 from Games Workshop. They're basically, so in Soul Wars, firstly, you get 20 in there. And that's such good value if they're trying to sell them for £25 for 10 easy to build models of those. It is pretty steep from Games Workshop. I thought that at the fucking start when they released them.
Yep.
But now with Mortal Realms, which basically the first issue of this Mortal Realms subscription, you got 10 chain brass and 3 Stormcast Secretors for
£3.
for £2.99. And what a lot of people did is buy a load of them and then sell them individually. And then so you got people trying to sell like 10 chain brass for £8, and if they're trying to sell them for that on Facebook, rest assured, a load of people are giving them a load of abuse for trying to make money, and to the point now where it's like ridiculous how much abuse people are getting for things like that. However, you can probably get 10 of these for £4, or even if you do end up paying like £6, £7, £8 for 10, it's still a lot cheaper than £25.
Good saving.
Yeah, exactly. Do not buy them for £25. If you have bought them and they're still wrapped up in plastic in a box, return them. Like literally, that's the biggest thing I could say about buying for this army is do not buy chain rafts for £25 for 10.
Yeah, I went out and bought 10 of these first issue of Mortal Realms from my WA Smith.
Yes.
So I had 100 chain rafts to properly fill out my list.
But you're going to use them in your army though, aren't you? You're not going to try and sell them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I'm actually using them. My plan is to eventually have the full mega battalion at full strength on my shelf. I'll never use it in a battlefield place, but I want that as on my shelf.
Yeah, I don't blame it. That's it, isn't it? Just like the Horde of the Spectre Ghosts, just like there. Like I got a few of them because I'm planning to do them for the subscription giveaway for the channel. Cause it's just a nice thing, and also I think it's quite cool if like I say, the giveaway will just be like a lucky dips, a luck of the draw situation. But if someone gets it who's not from the UK or Spain, so they couldn't buy the issues in the first place, that's quite cool.
Definitely.
Because like we sort of like, imagine if you're from a different country, like I don't know, America or something, you don't have access to the Mortal Realms. It must be very annoying to hear, you know, like, oh, don't buy these guys for £25 separately, and it's sort of like, well, we don't really have much choice over here.
Yeah, it will be going because it will be like Conquest with 40k one. It will slowly move around the world to the different places. It came out here first, and then it was 2 months later they started in America, and then stuff like that. So they will do the same, I imagine.
Yeah, they will.
They'll slowly bring it out, because I think Australia's only just got Conquest now. And that was like
really?
2 years ago that came out. So yeah.
Gosh. Right then. Well, okay. Well, that is pretty much how to leave it. So, if there's anyone still on the fence, why do you say for them to play Nighthaunt?
They're fun. They're a good starting point for Death armies. There's many different ways to get into it, and many ways to tailor the list to exactly how you want them to both look and how to play them. They're such a varied force, and it's a range that has quite new models for pretty much the whole force, and the old models that have moved across from the old Death armies synergize really nicely both in play style and look to the army. Yeah, I'd probably say that's the best summary.
Cool, fantastic, and I would agree with it. And it's not especially with all these like bundle boxes and Mortal Realms and stuff, not the most expensive army to do. And it's an army that's, if you're new to the hobby, you can make it as simple as you want to paint, and easy and quick, most importantly, so you can start playing those games. If you're been doing the hobby for a while, you can make some challenges and have some alternative paint schemes as much as you want. Right, okay, so we'll leave the video there. Well, thank you very much, Luke, for joining us on this video. It's been great to have you on and hear your expertise with the army. No problems at all. I hope we've managed to help some people if they've been deciding to do the army or not. I hope you've made a decision for yourself. I'll, like I say, have a link in the description for the sort of longer series I've done on Nighthaunt with lots of details on that, so you guys can check that out. Absolutely. Apologies for the sound quality. I think it's gone a little bit weird towards the end when I've been speaking. I don't know why. But with that, guys, I thank you very much for watching this. If you did enjoy the video, please like, subscribe and comment down below, as that does massively help. The channel's absolutely free to do so. I want to say a massive thank you to my patrons. They do a massive job in supporting the channel, and they really do help me to be able to produce many videos that I have in the past and in the future. And with everything else, guys, I thank you very much for watching this video. And remember, until next time, Nagash is all, and all is one in Nagash.